Is the Johnny Depp verdict against Amber Heard precedent? Here's 3 reasons why it's not. Reason number 1, it is certainly not legal precedent. Precedent to a lawyer has a specific meaning to it, which is basically controlling legal authority that would govern the facts of a case at hand. What I mean by that, say if a court of appeals or Supreme Court that has authority over a trial court has issued a legal opinion that is not distinguishable on the facts in any material way, and the legal issues are the same, then that opinion would control this case. Because as cases go up to the Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court of the various states and the federal system, they're supposed to apply the points of law consistently. So what they have decided, they will continue to decide. When that is reversed, which is fairly rare, it becomes big news, like the Dobbs case with the Roe versus Wade, because that is not obviously normally what happens. So normally, when you go to court as an attorney and you have a trial or a case, or you're thinking about going to court over it, you will look at your jurisdiction's controlling authority, which is statutes and things, of course, but here I'm talking about the court decisions, the precedent. You'll look up what they've said about this. You'll find out if the cases are the same as yours, and if they are the legal issues the same? And what the court decided there should control what happens to you in the trial court. If it doesn't, and the trial court blatantly disregards controlling authority above it, then you have a good ground for appeal. You can get it reversed. So when lawyers argue in court, you see all the time they'll talk about this case or that case. So if you find a reported case that is from a higher court that controls the trial court you're at, that it's basically the same on the facts and the same legal issues, then you will tell the judge, Judge, I have a case here that's directly on point. And directly on point tells the judge that you believe this precedent controls in every material way what is going on in your case. The facts are basically the same. The legal issues are the same. So we can all just read this case and see how the law should apply in this case. It's directly on point. Sometimes if it's not quite there, you'll say a similar case involving the same issues, Your Honor, and maybe the facts are a little different, but we believe this is still applicable to this case. And then it goes further and further away from being controlling precedent or binding precedent to just precedent, maybe of a general legal principle, etc. If you can't find that, or if it's a case of first impression in your jurisdiction, in other words, one where there isn't a legal precedent there to tell you how this will be construed, you can go to other jurisdictions. So if you're in North Carolina and you can't find a case at the Court of Appeals or Supreme Court that deals with what you're dealing with, maybe it's something new that's evolved in the law, you can go to other states' cases, South Carolina, Virginia, Nevada, whatever, and see how courts have dealt with those if you can find them, and show them to your trial court, or if you're on appeal, to the appeals court, and argue that this case, this court dealt with this jurisdiction has similar legal principles to ours, the facts are similar, here's why you should think the same way they do. But that's not precedent for purposes of your case, or not controlling precedent. Is just something the court can consider. So precedent has a specific legal meaning in the law, and this case occurring at a trial court involved no new law. It's just a defamation case. The defamation's been around forever. All it did involve was the jury evaluating the relative strengths of each side and deciding what they did, which is Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp 3 times, and his attorney said something that under agency was construed to be by Depp, and so he's liable to her for 1 defamatory statement. That's it, just a defamation case. It couldn't be, from a legal standpoint at this point, less precedent than it is. It's just a trial court with a jury making fact decisions. Now, if the case does go up on appeal and it involves some novel legal issue, which I don't think that it does, but if it did, and the court up there issues an opinion on that clarifies or furthers the law in some way, that will become precedent to the courts in Virginia in the future, but not a court in West Virginia or North Carolina or anywhere else, just there, because that's all they have jurisdiction for. So reason number 1 is this case is in no way legal precedent. Reason number 2, okay, well, what if it's not legal precedent that weird lawyers care about, and how you define it? Who cares about that? It's precedent in the court of public opinion. And you see that a lot when people say, this is a dangerous precedent. This sets a precedent. And it's in the media a lot to try and scare people that it's this precedent. But what is it a precedent of? It's going to terrify victims from coming forward, or it will embolden men to fight back if they're falsely accused. Only in the loosest sense. Because look at the facts of this case. The plaintiff, Johnny Depp, is extremely wealthy. and had the means to bring this suit and fund it. This isn't a contingency fee case. He's paying by the hour. How many people can do that? So this case begins to narrow immediately at this standpoint. He's also well loved by the public. So he has an advantage in that degree that he's extremely charismatic, and he has a lot of people who like him. That's the thing too that's going to distinguish him from a lot of people who may want to file a case against somebody who says you abused me, because some people are abusers and some people are just nasty people and they don't have the money anyway to bring this suit. So this thing begins to collapse as a meaningful precedent just already. The third is he had significant evidence accumulated in this case, and that often isn't the case either, as people live their lives and not videoing, filming each other like these guys did. On the other side of the table, he had somebody who is not as loved by the public, but somewhat known because of the publicity surrounding this case. And in his evaluation, and his attorneys had made statements and done things that would cost her credibility if they did go to court, and that turned out to be the case. You're narrowing again here. This wasn't just a clean shot. I say he abused me. There were lots of things in this case, like the pictures coming out that are not credible, and statements she made that are contradictory, and saying she donated money she didn't donate. There was ammunition there to begin with to say, I can show you this person is not a credible person, and that's why also you shouldn't believe her abuse allegations. That's not going to be the case all the time either. This is a Hollywood case, so publicity matters a lot. The incentive to make a false allegation exists in Hollywood more than it may in some other circumstances, because publicity is currency, and one way to get it is to get yourself in the news, positive or negative. And in this case, it can be positive to be part of the Me Too movement. So that doesn't mean the abuse allegations are not true, but it does mean that if people want to, if they find this person not being credible, they can say, well, why would they do this? Why would they say these things about this person? Well, in Hollywood, there's a reason to do it. Of course, we all know that it happens sometimes without a good reason. But my point is, from a precedent standpoint, Depp had that ammunition in hand that he could show that, hey, she was trying to pump up a movie she was in. She was trying to get something out of this. She had something to gain by making these allegations. So again, more facts stacking up in his favor. She had a ridiculous budget to defend herself, sponsored by an insurance company, just absolutely insane. So this case could go to trial because there were funds available to make it go to trial. And that's ridiculous, and that's not going to happen all the time. It's a fight between insurance companies now, but every aspect of the defense side of this case to me seems completely outlandish, including how much money was spent in this defense and what they got for it, and the fact that it was ever spent in the first place. So if you're looking at this case to say, well, this is precedent in the court of opinion, if not in the law, okay, it may be for super rich people in Hollywood who can afford to do this with people who they can show are not credible. Now that might be an incentive, say like in the Marilyn Manson case. That's a guy with some money, and he's up against more than one person who he says has an incentive. So those are similar things there, and in fact, maybe he was motivated by it. But what's the precedent here? The precedent here is not just that Johnny Depp filed the case, it's that he won. So you cannot import this jury from Virginia to where Manson's going to have his case and say, we can expect the same outcome. You can't do that. These are going to be different people with different backgrounds. There's no telling what's going to happen in that case. The Depp case is not precedent at all for the result of the Manson case, for example. Even if you had the same jury, they could weigh the evidence, come to a different conclusion. It's possible that if the attorneys had handled the Depp case differently, the result would have been different. I mean, we all applauded the performance of some and not others, and we think that mattered in the case. So if the attorneys are different, this becomes less precedent. Everything about it is less precedent. It's just a narrow group of people who can engage in a lawsuit like this. Very narrow group. And then it is still highly fact-specific and state-specific on what the law is. So it's not precedent of any meaningful extent that it's going to impact the lives of victims anywhere, or men who say they're falsely accused, or women who say they're falsely accused. This case doesn't mean much to them. In a social context, I guess it matters, and that's why I watched a lot of it, and it does show kind of an outer parameter of how far society would go with the Me Too movement that has merit to it, the underreporting, under prosecution of sexual abuse, when it was co-opted by ludicrous slogans like "Believe all women." When somebody says that, and they're not laughing when they say it, they're telling you, do not think. Stop applying logic. Apply no critical thinking. Just become a bot. Become an NPC. And if they believe it themselves, they're already those things. They're absolutely of no merit at all, except as they're like a bot retweet. That's all they are, because they have no critical thinking skills. So it set to me an outer parameter of that. Not that Depp won, but that he could get a fair case in this in the court of a public opinion, even though there were a lot of periodicals saying, oh my God, this is going to kill women trying to come forward as victims. It's not doing any of that. Nobody, I hope, who thought, well, Depp should have won this case, is also saying, now I hope women can be abused and they can't do anything about it. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. This case isn't precedent for that. This case is not precedent, first of all, against making a criminal accusation against somebody. This was about her public statements in an op-ed that she didn't have to make. That was a choice she made, and she needed to defend them. But it has nothing to do with her going to a district attorney or to the police department and saying a crime was committed against me. It's just not precedent on any real scale for anything to do with victims' rights, men's rights, women's rights, or anything else. It's more of a zeitgeist kind of a case that, hey, look, there is a limit to just how crazy people can get as the pendulum swings back and forth. And I think that is good to see, because not every woman is a liar, obviously, and not every woman tells the truth. They're human beings. There's agency there. Let's don't reduce them to some digital robotic scenario of they cannot think for themselves. Everybody has the capacity to do that. So all cases have to be judged on their own merits. And that, if it's precedent at all, it's precedent for don't make judgments on cases based on past cases. Make them on the evidence and the principles involved in the current case. Reason number 3. People will say, well, this is precedent because they don't like the jury decision in the case. Look at this. This is terrible. This is a dangerous precedent. Remember the O.J. Simpson case? A lot of people thought, well, here we go. This is a precedent here. We're not. If you're rich and you're caught up in the victimhood of the time that hey, a minority can't get a fair trial or whatever like that, or the police are corrupt, that you can just kill people. You can cut their heads off, and you're never going to be accountable for that anymore because of this O.J. Simpson case. Look at the jury. They disregarded the facts and the law. Now, in that case, I think they did do that, but they were the jury, not me. Did that lead to a wave of celebrities cutting people's heads off and getting away with it? I'm going to argue it didn't. I'm going to argue that a famous case can impact you emotionally, can be in the headlines for quite a while, and then it really doesn't mean anything after that. Sorry, it goes away. It becomes part of the discussion over time, but it doesn't start to control the legal system and how cases are. It does not do that, which is what the precedent should do. Fortunately, OJ is a specific situation of he got away with murdering 2 people, wrote a book about it, and that hasn't led to a wave of repeat offenses. And I don't think the Johnny Depp case is going to lead to a wave of honest women making accurate, truthful abuse allegations to be persecuted in court. First of all, it has nothing to do with a criminal complaint. And second of all, most people aren't going to be able to have an op-ed in the Washington Post and that sort of thing to have widespread publicity to cause a lot of economic damage. So these cases aren't going to go very far in that regard anyway. So those are 3 reasons why people claiming this is precedent have overblown what happened in this case and what it means. Not that it wasn't entertaining, and also informative, I think, to the discussion around Me Too and the parameters of that. But that's all that it is. It isn't more than that. And so no one knows what's going to happen, say, in the Manson case based on what happened in the Depp case, because they're 2 different cases. And it's not precedent legally or any other meaningful way. Thanks.